Hello Spider fans and welcome. After many requests, I've decided to make yet another mini video here of Spider-Man 101. So the class is in session. For those of you who know what I'm going to talk about, this will be a nice refresher. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it'll be a nice introduction to yet another Spider-Man villain. This time we are going to do one on a Spider-Man villain that isn't really all that popular, but he has existed for a very long time. The name is Kraven. Now, Kraven's real name is Sergei Kravenov. He's a descendant of a Russian aristocrat. And he is called the Hunter. What he does is he has had special potions from Africa and other places, which he uses gypsy potions, as he says. And it gives him all of these super abilities, which are kind of like super strength, super speed, and all these stuff. And he uses these in order to go and hunt down certain animals and catch animals basically with his bare hands. He's very popular in all over Europe. And then in Amazing Spider-Man number 15, which is his first appearance in August of 1964. Yeah, it's an old one. He is asked by the Chameleon, which is one of his old friends, in order to come to America and try to hunt down his greatest adversary or his greatest prize ever, and that prize is Spider-Man. So over the years we see Kraven come in and out of the Spider-Verse, and he's hunting Spider-Man down and he never seems to win the fight. Now this has a toll on him mentally, as you may think. I mean, the guy's used to getting what he wants and he just can't get this guy. So it becomes an obsession for him. Hunting Spider-Man is the obsession. Now, I'm not going to go too much into detail what happens after, because he's always pretty much doing the same thing. He comes into the Spider-Universe, he wants to catch Spider-Man, he fails, and it keeps going and going and going and going and going. But later on, he had a very important role in a storyline that is just marvelous. And the storyline is called Kraven's Last Stand. It's a 6-part issue miniseries, and it is absolutely off the hook. This is great writing, it's great art, it's a very dark story. I'm going to try to go through it quickly here with you. If you've never read it, please go out and get these issues, they're not expensive. This is also the first time, to my knowledge anyway, in the Spider Universe, where we have a Spider-Man storyline that'll jump from one different magazine to another. For example, it goes from Web of Spider-Man to Amazing Spider-Man to Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man, back to Web, back to Amazing, back to Peter Parker. So we have the first ever crossover here. We're crossing over. This story is so intense. We can't wait 6 individual months to give it to you. So we're going to give it to you 2 issues a month. You'll get 3 months, you'll have it all. This is where we start. In Web of Spider-Man number 31. Which is part 1 of Kraven's Last Stand, which is called The Coffin. Kraven captures Spider-Man, finally, after all these years, puts a gun to his head, and basically shoots him. We are seen at the end of Spider-Man lying in his coffin and buried. In Amazing Spider-Man number 293, which is part 2, which is called Crawling, Kraven assumes the identity of Spider-Man. Now that Spider-Man has been beaten and buried, Kraven gets his own costume and goes around basically being Spider-Man. He thinks that because he beat Spider-Man, he can become him and prove to himself that he was better than him all along. In Peter Parker Spectacular Spider-Man number 131, we have part 3, which is called The Descent. In this, Kraven goes down in the sewers to hunt down a villain that's been terrorizing New York. His name is Vermin. So Vermin is kind of like a half rat, half human kind of thing, and he feeds on human beings. So Kraven goes down in the sewers. Vermin's last fight was against Captain America and Spider-Man at the same time, and they had a hard time taking them out, both of them. So Kraven goes down there and basically kicks Vermin's butt all alone, captures him, and brings him back to his nice mansion. In Web of Spider-Man 32, this is by far my favorite comic cover in the history of Spider-Man. Absolutely beautiful. Spider-Man coming out of the grave, the rain, he's got the black costume on, very dark. This issue is called Resurrection, and as you may guess it, Spider-Man, who was revealed to be buried alive and not really dead, makes his way out of the grave somehow and is resurrected. It's a very cool issue. There's a lot of stuff that goes on in these issues. If you read it, you'll notice there's a lot of dark stuff. A lot of things going on where Spider-Man's questioning himself, questioning what's going on. He's dealing with the death of Ned Leeds, one of his old friends and Betty Brant's husband. He's having issues. He's trying to deal with those, deal with Mary Jane and all this going on in his mind. He's buried alive. So now he gets out. We learn as he gets out of this that he's been buried alive for 2 weeks. So for 2 weeks, Kraven's been going around being Spider-Man, capturing villains and killing villains. Not major villains, but petty crooks or whatnot. Going the extreme and doing stuff that Spider-Man would never do. And now basically tarnishing Spider-Man's name. In Amazing Spider-Man number 294, which is called Part 5, Thunder. This is a very symbolic issue. Now for those of you who know what happens in this, you'll agree with me. In this issue, Kraven confronts Spider-Man again as Spider-Man goes up to him to see what happened and why was he buried alive and all this stuff. Kraven basically tells Spider-Man, I killed you. I didn't necessarily put a bullet in the gun when I shot you. It was a tranquilizing dart of a very high magnitude. You were buried alive, but I didn't want you to die because I wanted you to be able to come back and to see that I killed you. Kind of a very macabre way of doing things. But like I said, this is a very dark storyline. And then Kraven releases Vermin, which he has chained up. And Vermin actually beats Spider-Man, goes to kill him. Kraven says no, stop, defends him. Vermin gets away, runs away to the sewers. Then after Kraven explains everything to Spider-Man, how he was better than him, how he took his place, how he did kill him, and all this wonderful stuff. In the end, Spider-Man leaves Kraven's mansion because he's going to go look for Vermin. At this point, Kraven, with a portrait of his family, goes up to a makeshift coffin, puts a gun to his mouth, and blows his head off. Yes, Kraven commits suicide in this issue because he feels he has bestowed honor upon himself again by proving to himself that he was better than the Spider-Man. Very interesting issue. And this brings us to the conclusion, which is Part 6, Ascension. In this, Spider-Man battles Vermin, and finally beats Vermin, brings Vermin to justice, and all the while you see the police and all that, when they go to Kraven's place and all this stuff, Kraven had written before he died, he wrote a confession to say that he was Spider-Man during those last 2 weeks and all this and that, so Spider-Man's basically left off the hook. He goes home to Mary Jane, still thinking Kraven's alive, still thinking he's going to go see Kraven and get more explanation on why he was buried alive and all this, but in the end he never gets those answers because Kraven has passed on. Also, we see the funeral for Kraven in this. We never really see how this affected Peter, the death of Kraven, but we do revisit it somewhat in a traded paperback called Soul of the Hunter. So until next time, this is DCompose signing off. Hope you enjoyed this, and feel free to leave a comment or subscribe to my videos. Later. Once again, Kraven. Get Kraven.